Elize, Elize, Alexandrina, Rodney. Okay, I live in Prospect. I live here now for about 23 years.
Okay.
Since we returned from England.
Okay. Where were you born?
I was born in Richland Park. And my parents' names and occupation. My dad's name was James Morgan, and occupation, he was a farmer and a woodcutter.
What about your brothers and sisters and their names and occupations?
I had 6 brothers and 5 sisters, including me.
Okay. And what about your children?
My children, 4 of them. Lorna, Kay, Dion, Alan.
They're here or overseas?
They're overseas, they're in England.
Okay. And can you remember any of your aunts and uncles and probably their names?
My aunts and my grandparents. My granddad was Ridley Bacchus. My grandmother was, we used to call her, grew up calling her Ma, and Babu.
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 I just heard that name in another recording.
Yeah. And Ma and Babu had 10 children.
What about the grandparents? Do you remember their names and what they did?
My grandparents, my granddad was just, as I knew him growing up as a child, he didn't have any occupation. He just been at home in the house. My grandmother used to grate coconut and make coconut oil and sell to people, you know. That's what she used to do. And
where did they live?
They live in Richland Park, not too far from us, just below where we were living.
Okay. Any of your other relatives you remember?
My uncles were, we call him Uncle Buddy, but he was the first one for my grandparents. Uncle Buddy, we have Uncle Joseph, Ranjit Bacchus. Uncle Joseph Bacchus, Norman Bacchus, Uncle Owen Bacchus. And my aunts, we have, and my mom was the second child, right? Catherine Morgan. Then I have Auntie Mary, Auntie Eugenia, Auntie Beatrice, Auntie Elmina, and 5 or 6 aunts. Auntie Eugenia, and Auntie Florence, and Auntie Elmina. 6 of them.
Do you remember what they used to do as well?
They just used to be farmers. Everybody used to plant bananas and ground provision and so on. Okay?
So mostly farmers?
Yeah, it's just farmers. And some of them went overseas to Trinidad and so on, and lived there, and they never came back.
Okay.
But
okay. But did your parents or your grandparents ever tell you that they had forefathers who came from India?
My dad's surname, Indian surname, was Tulsidas. But when he was born in Peters Hope Bay, down there, his mother.
On the estate?
And on the estate, yes. And my mom was born in Argyle. My grandmother, when she left India, she was 3 months old. When she reached to St. Vincent, she was 11 months old.
That's how long they spent in the journey?
Long time on the sea, yes. So they end up in Argyle. And my mom was born in 1897, and my dad was 5 years younger than her. So he was born in 1892, something so. And they all grew up in Argyle until they get married and so on.
You remember your grandfather's surname, you said?
Ridley
Okay.
Ridley Bacchus. Babu.
Babu, okay.
Garland.
That was both your grandparents' Indian surnames?
Everybody called him Bob.
Babu. Everybody called him Babu.
Okay. But when they came, you know where they lived? Where they settled? Your grandparents?
I grew up in Richland Park, and they were living near to one another. And my uncle was there, my grandparents was there, and we were living in a circle, sort of thing. And until we moved out later on in life, we were living in a boathouse. Concrete downstairs, and upstairs is wood boathouse, until my dad went and get a piece of land nearer to the church we used to go to, and he built a wall house by removing about 1953 in the new house, and we lived there until we all disappeared. My dad died in 1960. My mom died in 1982. She was 85 years old.
Okay.
I'm just a year younger than her when she died. I'm 84 now.
Wow.
So that's how it
Okay.
is.
Well, in terms of what you remember in earlier times, you know, growing up, some of the things that you probably had, some of the foods, you know, some of the utensils you use, you might remember some of those names, some of them you want to share?
Growing up as a child, I remember I used to go to wash wares. You didn't have water. We had to go to the river to bring water. And I used to have to take a basket with the wares on my head and walk to the river and wash them and come back. And it was a lot of hard work, but I used to enjoy it, I suppose, as children, you know. And my hardest time was when I had to get up 5 o'clock in the morning and go to Montreal, where we had the land. My dad did buy us out a piece of estate up there. And I used to get up 5 o'clock in the morning, go with him, walk from Richland Park to Montreal over to Gaskill Estate, and he will milk the cow, and I will have to bring the milk down, make breakfast, and sometimes I had to walk back up to that Montreal and take his breakfast for him up there, you know.
So there were some adventures you had growing up.
Yeah.
And you remember what religion the family were mostly growing up?
My dad and mom accepted Christianity, Seventh Adventist Christianity, in about 1930, between 36 and 37, because I was born an Seventh Adventist, right? And I haven't changed since then.
You haven't changed since then, okay.
So,
Okay.
and
You remember-
the whole family, all the brother, uncles and aunties, some of them, most of them, were Seventh Adventists.
Okay. And that's just connected to those in the Richland Park, the
Yes.
family there as well?
Yes.
Okay. Would you say life is different now to those earlier days, and what would you say is different about it?
Well, now, compare now to when I was growing up as a child, things are more enlightened now. You have more technology, you have more things, you know. We used to cook with wood fire outside, you know, in a little kitchen and so on. But then all that changed when we have gas now and everything now change. Thing has improved a lot.
Okay. What would you say are some of the things you remember most from growing up? Some of the cherished memories from childhood?
As a child growing up, 8 and 9 year old, where I live, we had a big yard, and my nieces and nephews and cousins and so on used to come up to our yard, and we used to play games and so on. And we used to enjoy doing that. And something happened to me when one night I was playing games, and my mom said to us in the house, "Who is going to church with me tonight?" And I said, "I'll go." So she said, all I can remember, go inside the house and sitting down on a chair and loosening out my hair to comb around 6 o'clock. And I didn't know anything again until about 10 o'clock the night. They said I just fell, and I was kicking. My foot and I was kicking, and my teeth was set, and so on. And they had a book, a medical book called Modern Medical Counselor, and they read in it what to do. You put my head up high and my foot down, or vice versa, something. And I didn't catch myself until about 10 o'clock the night, from 4 hours out for 4 hours. That's what the Lord did for me. Saved my life because of that book. And
so that is to you is a very special moment in your life where you...
That's right. I was about 9 years old at the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. In all of that, you may have had some difficult times growing up as well. Can you remember any of those where things were particularly difficult?
When I was 13 years old, the Lord saved my life again. I got burnt with a lamp, a gas lamp. Catching me, see all that?
Mm-hmm.
And me, and the fire was on me. And I had to spend 5 weeks in hospital, and that was another time the Lord saved my life, and I cannot be ungrateful to Him at all. You know, I had to really thank Him for that.
Okay. If you had the opportunity to change anything in life, what would that be? Some of the things you look back on and say, maybe I should have done that differently, or...
I don't know, you know, change anything. I used to enjoy those days, and then I got married. We've been married now for nearly 63 years.
Wow.
And we are happy still. You know, the children have grown up. They have their own lives to live, all of them married and so on. I have...
And now you have grandchildren and all of that.
Five grandchildren and 3 great-grand. We have. So life is a lot better than those days, you know. Things has improved a lot. And
so in essence, you would live it just the same as you did? If you had that choice again, you wouldn't change
anything. No.
Okay. What about the country as a whole? If you had the opportunity to change things around you, the community and the country?
Where, as I am now, I've been living here for 23 years, and I'm happy. I wouldn't change anything.
About the foundation, are you aware of the Indian Heritage Foundation, and was it?
I've never been to any of the meetings, and my husband can't drive so much at night. He can't drive at night at all, or in the evening late. So, and where we live here, you know, to drive up all the way to Calder, to where they're having these meetings, I
difficult.
can't go. It's difficult, yes.
Okay. And what about what you would like to see the foundation accomplish? Anything you'd want to see them do to enhance or to, you know, to reach more of those of Indian descent residents in the Grenadines?
I don't know. They're doing all right as far as I know.
All right. Did you enjoy sharing the story with us today?
Yes, well, I look forward to it, and I'm glad you came.
What we'll do is we'll just do some editing, you know, take out the, you know, some of the pauses and the breaks in between, and we'll use them on our platforms, our YouTube, Facebook, and on the website.
Yeah.
So that people can, you know, learn about all the family connections. They can see who is related to who.
I know my cousin wrote a book about the Indian Foundation.
That's Lenroy?
Lenroy.
Yes, well, he actually, the book that he wrote was based on these very interviews that we were doing. From the first batch that we did. So
I read some of it. My daughter bought one in England, and she bought it, so I read some of it.
Yeah. So I did those 4 sets.
Okay.
So this is the second round.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So thanks very much for sharing with me, and all the best.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you.